In the bustling heart of a city that never sleeps, where dreams are chased and often shattered, lived a man named Marcus. A tall, middle-aged black man with a weathered face that told stories of hardship and resilience. Marcus had been homeless for several years. Life had not been kind to him. A series of unfortunate events had led him to the streets. Once a promising artist with dreams of showcasing his work in galleries, he had lost everything: his job, his home, and his family. Each day was a struggle for survival, but Marcus faced it with dignity. He spent his mornings at the local shelter, where he would eat a meager breakfast and share stories with others who had fallen on hard times. In the afternoons, he would often find himself in the park, sketching the vibrant life around him: children playing, couples laughing, and the occasional street performer captivating passers-by. Art was his escape, a way to express the emotions bottled up inside him. One chilly autumn afternoon, as leaves danced in the wind and the sun began its descent behind tall buildings, Marcus wandered through the city's financial district. The contrast between his world and that of the suited professionals was stark. He watched as people hurried past him, engrossed in their phones or deep in conversation about business deals and promotions. Despite his circumstances, Marcus held on to hope that one day he would reclaim his place in society. As he meandered through the streets, something unusual caught his eye: a shiny object partially hidden beneath a park bench. Curiosity piqued, he approached cautiously. As he bent down to investigate, he realized it was a briefcase, sleek and black, with no visible signs of wear. It seemed out of place in this public park, where people often left their belongings unattended for just a moment too long. Marcus glanced around to see if anyone was watching. The park was relatively empty that day. Only a few joggers and dog walkers were present. With a mix of excitement and trepidation, he decided to open the briefcase. The latch clicked open easily under his fingers. His heart raced as he lifted the lid. Inside lay stacks upon stacks of cash, neatly bundled and secured with rubber bands. It was an overwhelming sight. Marcus had never seen so much money in one place before. His mind raced with possibilities. Could this be his ticket out of homelessness? But as quickly as hope surged within him, doubt crept in. Whose money was this? Was it stolen? What if someone came looking for it? He closed the briefcase quickly, feeling a rush of adrenaline coursing through him. In that moment, he faced an ethical dilemma that would define not only his day but potentially his entire life. Should he keep it? Should he turn it in? The weight of those decisions pressed heavily on his shoulders. Marcus sat down on the bench beside the briefcase, trying to calm himself. He took a deep breath and began to think about what this money could mean for him. He envisioned an apartment, a small one where he could paint again without fear of being moved along by authorities or harassed by strangers. He imagined being able to buy art supplies and reconnecting with his passion for painting. But then another thought struck him. What about others who were struggling like him? Wouldn't it be selfish to keep all this money when so many people were in need? He remembered the faces of those at the shelter, the single mothers trying to provide for their children, the veterans battling PTSD on the streets, and even young kids who came by looking for help. As he wrestled with these thoughts, Marcus felt an unexpected sense of clarity wash over him. This moment could be more than just about survival. It could be an opportunity to make a difference, not just for himself, but for others too. With resolve building inside him, Marcus made up his mind. He would take some time to think about what to do next, but would not rush into any decisions. He carefully closed the briefcase again and placed it beside him on the bench as he began sketching again, a way to process everything swirling in his mind. As dusk fell over the city and streetlights flickered on one by one, Marcus felt a strange sense of calm amidst the chaos around him. This briefcase had changed everything. It was not just money. It was a crossroads that would lead him down paths he had never imagined possible. Little did he know that this decision would set off a chain of events that would not only change his life, but also touch countless others in ways he could never have anticipated. The journey ahead was uncertain, But for the first time in years, Marcus felt hope stirring within him once more. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden glow across the park, Marcus sat on the bench, the briefcase resting beside him like a silent companion. He took a moment to absorb the beauty of the evening, the vibrant colors of the sky, the rustling leaves, and the distant laughter of children playing. Yet, his mind was consumed by the contents of that briefcase. He glanced around, ensuring no one was watching him too closely. The park was beginning to empty as people headed home after a long day. A few joggers passed by and a couple strolled hand in hand, oblivious to the internal battle raging within him. Marcus's heart raced as he contemplated what lay inside that briefcase. It wasn't just money. It was a lifeline, a chance to rewrite his story. Finally, unable to resist any longer, he opened the briefcase again. The sight of neatly stacked bundles of cash took his breath away. He reached in and pulled out one of the stacks, feeling the crisp bills against his fingers. Each bundle represented hope, hope for a better life, hope for stability, and hope for redemption. But with that hope came an overwhelming sense of fear. What if this money belonged to someone dangerous? What if it was part of something illegal? Marcus had seen enough crime in his life to know that money could bring trouble. He thought back to his days on the streets when he had witnessed drug deals and violence, all fueled by greed and desperation. He closed the briefcase again, trying to calm his racing heart. As he sat there in silence, he thought about how easy it would be to take just a little bit, enough to get off the streets and start fresh. But then he remembered the faces of those at the shelter, the people who shared their meals with him and offered words of encouragement when he felt lost. He couldn't betray their trust or his own values for a fleeting moment of greed. Marcus decided he needed advice. He thought about his friend Clara, a woman he had met at the shelter who often offered him guidance when he felt adrift. Clara had a way of seeing things clearly. Her wisdom had helped many in their community. He resolved to take the briefcase to her and discuss what he should do next. Gathering his belongings, a worn backpack containing a few clothes and some art supplies, he carefully lifted the briefcase and made his way toward the shelter. The streets were dimly lit, but Marcus felt an unusual sense of purpose propelling him forward. Each step felt heavier with the weight of his decision, but lighter with hope. As he approached the shelter, familiar sights greeted him: the worn steps leading up to the entrance, the comforting sound of laughter from inside, and the aroma of warm food wafting through the air. It was a place where people came together not just for shelter, but for community and support. Inside, Clara was sitting at one of the tables with a few others, sharing stories over dinner. Her face lit up when she saw Marcus enter. "Hey there, you look like you've seen a ghost," she joked, motioning for him to join them. Marcus smiled weakly, but felt an urgency rising within him. "Clara, can I talk to you in private?" She nodded immediately, sensing something serious in his tone. They stepped outside into a small courtyard behind the shelter, where they could speak without interruption. "What's going on?" Clara asked, her brow furrowed with concern. Marcus hesitated for a moment before revealing what he had found. "I found this briefcase in the park," he began, opening it slightly so she could see inside without exposing its contents fully. "It's full of cash." Clara's eyes widened as she looked from Marcus to the briefcase. "Wow, that's incredible. What are you going to do with it?" "I don't know," Marcus admitted, running a hand through his hair in frustration. "Part of me wants to keep it, just enough to get off these streets and start fresh. But another part knows that it might belong to someone who really needs it, or even worse, someone dangerous." Clara nodded thoughtfully as she processed what Marcus had said. "You're right. We have no idea where this money came from or who it belongs to." She paused before continuing. "But you also have to think about your own survival." Marcus sighed deeply. Clara's words echoed in his mind as he weighed his options again. "I just can't shake this feeling that keeping it would be wrong," he said finally. "Maybe you should try to find out if anyone has reported it missing," Clara suggested thoughtfully. "There might be a way to turn it in without putting yourself at risk." Marcus considered her suggestion seriously. You mean like going to the police? Yeah, Clara replied cautiously but firmly. If it's stolen or part of something illegal, they'll need to know about it anyway. Marcus felt a wave of relief wash over him at Clara's suggestion. It gave him direction amidst his confusion. But another thought nagged at him. What if turning it in meant losing everything? Okay, he said finally with determination in his voice. I'll take it to them tomorrow. Clara smiled encouragingly and placed a hand on his shoulder. You're doing the right thing, Marcus. No matter what happens next, you're choosing integrity over desperation. As they returned inside together, Marcus felt lighter somehow, despite still carrying that heavy briefcase full of cash. He knew tomorrow would be daunting. Confronting authority was never easy for someone who had lived on society's fringes for so long. That night, as he lay on his makeshift bed at the shelter, staring up at the ceiling while others around him drifted off into sleep, Marcus couldn't shake off thoughts about what lay ahead. Both fear and excitement mingled within him like two sides of a coin. Tomorrow would change everything. He could feel it deep within himself, a turning point that would either lead him back into darkness or towards an unexpected light. The sun rose over the city, casting a golden hue on the streets as Marcus prepared for what lay ahead. The briefcase sat at his feet, a heavy reminder of the decision he had to make. He had spent a restless night contemplating the implications of his discovery, each scenario playing out in his mind like a movie reel. Today was the day he would take it to the police, but uncertainty loomed over him like a dark cloud. As he walked through the familiar streets toward the police station, Marcus felt a mix of anxiety and determination. The briefcase felt heavier with each step, not just because of its physical weight, but also due to the moral burden it represented. What if the money belonged to someone who truly needed it? What if it was part of something illegal? The question swirled in his mind, making him second-guess his decision. He reached the police station, a brick building that stood tall and imposing. Taking a deep breath, he pushed open the door and stepped inside. The lobby was bustling with activity, officers chatting, citizens filing reports, and a few families waiting for assistance. Marcus felt out of place, as if he were intruding on a world that didn't belong to him. Approaching the front desk, he cleared his throat nervously. "Excuse me," he said to the officer behind the counter, a middle-aged man with kind eyes. "I found something that I think you should know about." The officer looked up, intrigued. "What did you find?" Marcus hesitated for a moment, then placed the briefcase on the counter. "I found this in the park. It's full of cash." The officer's eyebrows raised in surprise as he opened the briefcase slightly and glanced inside. "Wow, that's quite a find," he said, his tone shifting from curiosity to professionalism. "Do you have any idea where it came from?" "No," Marcus replied, shaking his head. "I just found it there yesterday." "All right," the officer said, taking notes as he assessed the situation. "We'll need to file a report and see if anyone has reported it missing. Can I get your name?" "Marcus," he said quietly. "Marcus," the officer repeated as he scribbled down details. "Thank you for bringing this in. It's important that we keep track of items like this." As they continued with the paperwork, Marcus felt a sense of relief wash over him. He had done the right thing by turning in the money. It was no longer his burden to carry alone. But as they finished up, another thought crept into his mind. What if no one claimed it? What would happen then? After completing the report, the officer assured Marcus that they would investigate and contact him if they learned anything new. With that, Marcus stepped back outside into the crisp air, feeling both lighter and heavier at once. Days passed without any word from the police. Life continued as usual at the shelter. Marcus kept busy with his art and spent time with Clara and other friends he had made there. Yet he couldn't shake off the nagging thought about what might happen to that money. One evening, while sitting in their usual spot at the shelter, Clara noticed Marcus's distracted demeanor. "You seem lost in thought," she remarked gently. "I can't stop thinking about that briefcase," he admitted. "What if no one claims it? What if they just keep it? Clara nodded thoughtfully. It's hard not knowing what will happen next, she said empathetically. But remember why you turned it in. You did it because you wanted to do what was right. I know, Marcus replied with a sigh. But I can't help but wonder, what if I could have used that money to help myself or others? What if I could have made a difference? Sometimes doing what's right doesn't come with immediate rewards, Clara said wisely. You may not see it now, but your actions could inspire others, or lead to something greater down the line. Marcus pondered her words as they continued their conversation late into the night. Clara's perspective offered him comfort. Perhaps his decision wasn't just about him, but about setting an example for others facing similar dilemmas. The following week brought an unexpected twist when Marcus received a call from the police station. His heart raced as he answered, unsure of what news awaited him. Hello, is this Marcus? The voice on the other end was friendly yet professional. Yes, this is me, Marcus replied cautiously. We wanted to inform you that we've located the owner of that briefcase, said the officer from before. It turns out it belonged to a local businessman who reported it missing after being robbed. Marcus felt a mix of emotions, relief that someone would be reunited with their belongings, but also disappointment at not having any claim to it himself. Thank you for letting me know, he said softly. We appreciate your honesty in turning it in, the officer continued. The owner would like to meet you personally to express his gratitude. Surprised by this unexpected turn of events, Marcus agreed to meet with them later that week at a local cafe. On the day of their meeting, Marcus arrived early and took a seat at a small table near the window, his heart racing with anticipation and nerves. He wondered what this businessman would be like. Would he be grateful or dismissive? Would he even understand why Marcus had turned in such an amount? A few minutes later, a well-dressed man entered, the kind of person who exuded confidence and success. He scanned the cafe until his eyes landed on Marcus. Marcus? He asked as he approached. Yes, Marcus replied hesitantly. I'm David, said the man with an outstretched hand and an appreciative smile. Thank you for meeting me today. As they shook hands, David continued speaking warmly about how grateful he was for Marcus's honesty and integrity in returning his lost property. You have no idea how much this means to me, David said sincerely, as they settled into their seats. Marcus felt taken aback by David's genuine appreciation. It was refreshing amidst all his doubts and fears about turning in the money. I just did what I thought was right, Marcus replied modestly. David nodded thoughtfully before leaning forward slightly as if sharing a secret. You know, people like you are rare these days, those who choose integrity over temptation. Their conversation flowed easily after that. David shared stories about his business while also listening intently as Marcus spoke about his dreams of becoming an artist again someday. Before they parted ways, David surprised Marcus with an offer. I'd like to help you get back on your feet, maybe even invest in your art. Marcus was taken aback by this unexpected generosity, but felt overwhelmed by gratitude at how one act of kindness had led to another, a chain reaction sparked by choosing honesty over greed. As they exchanged contact information and promised to stay in touch, Marcus left feeling lighter than ever before, a sense of hope blooming within him like spring flowers breaking through winter's chill. He realized then that sometimes doing what is right leads not only to personal growth but also opens doors for others along our journey. A beautiful reminder that kindness begets kindness in ways we may never fully understand. The days following Marcus's meeting with David were a whirlwind of emotions. He felt a renewed sense of purpose, invigorated by the unexpected support from someone who understood the struggles of life. David's offer to help him get back on his feet was more than just financial assistance. It was a lifeline that ignited a spark of hope in Marcus's heart. As he walked through the streets of the city, Marcus couldn't help but reflect on how much had changed since he found the briefcase. What began as a moment of uncertainty had transformed into an opportunity for growth and connection. He had turned in the money, faced his fears, and now he was on the cusp of reclaiming his dreams. One afternoon, while sketching in the park, Marcus received a message from David inviting him to meet again. They agreed to meet at a local gallery where David had arranged for Marcus to showcase some of his artwork. The thought both thrilled and terrified him. He hadn't exhibited his work in years, and the idea of sharing his art with others filled him with anxiety. On the day of the event, Marcus arrived early to set up. The gallery was bright and airy, filled with natural light that danced across the walls. As he hung his pieces, a collection of vibrant paintings inspired by his experiences on the streets, he felt a mix of pride and vulnerability. Each stroke of paint told a story, capturing moments of struggle, resilience, and hope. When David arrived, he brought with him a group of friends and colleagues eager to support Marcus. "This is going to be amazing," David said with enthusiasm as he surveyed the artwork. "Your talent deserves to be seen." As guests began to arrive, Marcus felt a wave of nerves wash over him. He stood by his paintings trying to appear composed while inside he was a bundle of anxiety. But as people began to engage with his art, asking questions and sharing their thoughts, he found himself relaxing. Their genuine interest in his work fueled his confidence. "Your use of color is incredible," one woman remarked, pointing at a painting that depicted a bustling street scene filled with life and energy. "Thank you," Marcus replied, surprised by her enthusiasm. "I wanted to capture the beauty in everyday moments." As the evening progressed, Marcus found himself sharing stories behind each piece, how they reflected his journey, the challenges he faced, and the hope that kept him moving forward. The more he spoke, the more connected he felt to those around him. David moved through the crowd, introducing Marcus to potential buyers and art enthusiasts who expressed interest in his work. "You have something special here," one man said, after viewing a particularly striking piece that depicted a sunrise breaking through dark clouds. "It speaks volumes about resilience." By the end of the night, several pieces had sold, and Marcus felt overwhelmed by gratitude. He never expected such an outpouring of support from strangers who resonated with his story through art. After the event concluded, David approached Marcus with excitement. "You did it! People loved your work." His eyes sparkled with pride for Marcus's achievement. "I can't believe it," Marcus said, still in shock at how well everything had gone. David smiled warmly. "This is just the beginning for you. With your talent and determination, I know you'll go far." As they packed up the remaining pieces, Marcus felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude, not just for David's support, but also for Clara's encouragement and everyone who had believed in him along the way. In the following weeks, life took on a new rhythm for Marcus. With some financial assistance from David's investment in his art career, he was able to secure a small studio space where he could create without fear or interruption. It was a dream come true, a sanctuary where he could pour his heart into his paintings. He also began volunteering at the shelter where he had once sought refuge. Inspired by Clara's wisdom about giving back, he wanted to share what he had learned through his own journey with others who were still struggling. One evening at the shelter, as he shared stories about his recent successes and encouraged others to pursue their passions despite their circumstances, he noticed familiar faces lighting up with inspiration. It reminded him of how far he had come, the boy who once felt lost now standing as a beacon of hope for others. "Remember," Marcus said passionately to those gathered around him, "it's not where you start that defines you. It's what you choose to do next." His words resonated deeply within them. Many began sharing their dreams and aspirations, some wanting to start businesses, others hoping to pursue education or learn new skills. Together they brainstormed ideas and supported one another in their goals. As winter melted into spring, Amina's Bakery and Kindness Cafe continued thriving as well. She often invited Marcus to showcase his art there too. The cafe became not only a place for delicious treats, but also an artistic hub where local talents could shine. One day, while setting up for another exhibition at Amina's Cafe, Clara approached Marcus with excitement in her eyes. "I have an idea," she exclaimed breathlessly. "What is it?" Marcus asked curiously. "What if we organize an art showcase featuring artists from our community? We could raise funds for those in need while promoting local talent." Marcus's face lit up at her suggestion. It was brilliant. They quickly began planning an event that would bring together artists from all walks of life: painters, musicians, poets, each sharing their gifts while contributing to a greater cause. As they worked tirelessly on preparations leading up to the event, a night filled with creativity and compassion, Marcus couldn't help but reflect on how far he had come since finding that briefcase full of cash. What once seemed like an insurmountable challenge had turned into an opportunity for growth, not just for himself, but for countless others around him. On the night of the showcase, Amina's cafe buzzed with excitement as people filled every corner, artists displaying their work alongside musicians strumming heartfelt melodies, creating an atmosphere alive with inspiration. When it came time for Marcus to speak about their mission behind this event, to uplift those struggling within their community, he stood before everyone feeling both nervous, yet empowered by purpose. "Thank you all for being here tonight," he began earnestly, as silence fell over the crowd listening intently. "We're not just showcasing art, we're celebrating resilience, the strength we find within ourselves when we lift each other up." As applause erupted around him after finishing his speech filled with passion and sincerity, Marcus realized this was exactly what he wanted. Not only sharing his journey, but also empowering others along theirs. A beautiful cycle fueled by kindness leading back into itself like ripples spreading across water. That night marked another turning point in Marcus's life. The realization that true fulfillment comes not just from personal success, but from lifting others along your journey. A lesson learned through both struggle and triumph. A testament that kindness truly begets kindness in ways we may never fully understand. As spring blossomed into summer, the art showcase organized by Marcus and Clara at Amina's Bakery and Kindness Cafe became a resounding success. The event not only raised significant funds for local charities, but also fostered a sense of community that had been missing for far too long. People from all walks of life came together, sharing their stories and talents, united by a common goal of uplifting those in need. The night of the showcase was filled with laughter, music, and creativity. Local musicians played soulful tunes while artists displayed their work, each piece telling its own story. The cafe buzzed with energy as attendees mingled, discussing art, life, and dreams. Marcus felt a deep sense of fulfillment as he watched people connect over their shared experiences. After the event, the funds raised were distributed to various local shelters and food banks, providing much-needed support to families struggling in the community. Marcus received heartfelt messages from those who benefited from the donations, thanking him for his efforts. Each message reaffirmed his belief that kindness could indeed change lives. Inspired by the success of the showcase, Marcus and Clara decided to make it an annual event. They envisioned it as a platform for emerging artists to share their work, while also raising awareness about social issues affecting their community. With each passing year, they hoped to expand their reach and impact even more lives. Meanwhile, David continued to mentor Marcus, guiding him through the intricacies of running an art business. He introduced Marcus to local galleries and helped him network with other artists. Under David's mentorship, Marcus began to gain recognition for his work beyond the confines of the cafe. One afternoon, while working in his studio, Marcus received an invitation to participate in a regional art exhibition. The opportunity thrilled him. It was a chance to showcase his art on a larger scale and reach an audience he had only dreamed of connecting with. With David's encouragement and support from Clara and Amina, he prepared for the exhibition with fervor. As the day approached, Marcus poured every ounce of his passion into creating new pieces that reflected his journey, his struggles on the streets, the warmth of community support, and the beauty he found in everyday life. Each brushstroke was infused with meaning. He wanted his art to resonate with others who might be facing similar challenges. On the day of the exhibition, Marcus arrived early at the gallery, a spacious venue adorned with artwork from various talented artists across the region. As he set up his pieces, He felt a mix of excitement and nerves bubbling within him. This was a significant moment in his journey. When the doors opened to the public, visitors flooded in. They admired the diverse array of artwork on display, each piece telling its own story. As people approached Marcus's section, he felt a rush of adrenaline. This was his chance to share not only his art, but also his story. "Your work is incredible," one visitor remarked as she examined a painting depicting a vibrant street scene filled with life and color. "What inspired you?" Marcus smiled warmly and began sharing his journey, the hardships he faced as a homeless artist, and how kindness from others had transformed his life. He spoke about Clara's encouragement, Amina's support through her cafe, and David's mentorship that had helped him rise above adversity. As he spoke, he noticed how engaged people were, nodding along as they absorbed his words. Some even shared their own stories of struggle and resilience in return. It was a beautiful exchange, a reminder that art has the power to connect people on profound levels. By the end of the exhibition, several pieces had sold again, each sale representing not just financial support, but also validation for Marcus's talent and hard work. He felt overwhelmed by gratitude as he reflected on how far he had come since that fateful day when he found the briefcase full of money. In addition to selling artwork, Marcus also connected with other artists who shared similar experiences. They exchanged contact information and discussed collaborating on future projects aimed at raising awareness about homelessness and community support through their art. As summer turned into fall, Marcus continued to thrive both personally and professionally. His reputation as an artist grew steadily. He was featured in local newspapers and magazines, highlighting his journey from homelessness to becoming a celebrated artist in their community. Yet amidst all this success, Marcus remained grounded, never forgetting where he came from or those who had supported him along the way. He continued volunteering at shelters and organizing workshops for aspiring artists who faced challenges similar to those he once endured. One day, while leading a workshop at the shelter where he had once sought refuge himself, Marcus noticed a young girl named Mia sitting quietly in the corner. She was shy but had an undeniable spark in her eyes whenever she looked at art supplies. After finishing up with other participants, Marcus approached her gently. "Hey there. I noticed you seem really interested in painting," he said warmly. Mia looked up shyly but nodded slowly. "I like drawing," she whispered. "Would you like some help?" Marcus offered with a smile. "I'd love to see what you create." Her face lit up at his offer. She hesitated for just a moment before nodding enthusiastically. They spent hours together that afternoon, Mia sketching her dreams while Marcus guided her through techniques and encouraged her creativity. As they painted side by side amidst laughter and encouragement, a beautiful bond formed between them. Marcus realized how important it was not just to share his own journey, but also to empower others along theirs. Months passed since that first encounter with Mia. She blossomed into a confident young artist under Marcus's mentorship, her talent shining brightly as she created stunning pieces inspired by her life experiences. When it came time for another community showcase organized by Marcus and Clara, this time featuring young artists from local shelters, Mia proudly displayed her artwork alongside others she had met through workshops led by Marcus himself. On opening night of this new showcase filled with excitement, the cafe buzzed once again with energy as families gathered together celebrating creativity while supporting one another through shared stories. It became evident how far they all had come since those early days when hope seemed distant. As Mia stood beside her artwork, a vibrant depiction of hope rising above despair, Marcus felt immense pride swell within him, watching her shine brightly before everyone gathered around, admiring what she had created. "Thank you for believing in me," Mia said softly after receiving compliments from attendees admiring her work throughout the evening. Marcus knelt down beside her eye level so she could see how proud he was, as he replied earnestly, "You have so much talent. It's been an honor watching you grow." That night marked another milestone, not just for Mia but also for everyone involved, a testament that kindness truly begets kindness. a beautiful cycle where one act leads into another, creating ripples throughout their community, inspiring hope where it once seemed lost forevermore. As they wrapped up another successful event filled with laughter and celebration, Marcus reflected on how far he had come since finding that briefcase full of money so long ago. It wasn't merely about wealth or possessions anymore. It was about connection, the bonds formed through shared experiences, the power found within uplifting one another along life's unpredictable journey together, a reminder that sometimes our greatest treasures lie not within material wealth, but rather within our hearts filled with compassion towards others around us every single day ahead, waiting patiently just beyond tomorrow's horizon, ready for whatever comes next. As the leaves began to change color and the crisp autumn air settled over the town, Marcus felt a profound sense of fulfillment. The annual community art showcase had become a cherished tradition, and with each passing year, it grew in both participation and impact. This year they had expanded the event to include workshops for aspiring artists, mentorship programs, and even a scholarship fund for young creatives from underprivileged backgrounds. The success of the previous showcases had inspired local businesses to get involved as well. Amina's Bakery and Kindness Cafe had become a hub for creativity and compassion, where people gathered not just for delicious treats, but also to share ideas and support one another. Clara's vision of a community united by art was coming to life, and Marcus felt grateful to be at the center of it all. One chilly morning, as Marcus prepared for the upcoming showcase, he received an unexpected call from David. "Marcus, I have some exciting news," David exclaimed. "There's a regional arts festival coming up next month, and they want you to be one of the featured artists." Marcus's heart raced with excitement. "Really? That sounds amazing," he replied, barely able to contain his enthusiasm. "They've heard about your work and how you've been giving back to the community," David explained. "They want you to showcase your journey and how art can inspire change." Overwhelmed by the opportunity, Marcus spent the next few weeks preparing for the festival. He created new pieces that reflected not only his personal journey, but also the stories of those he had met along the way, stories of resilience, hope, and transformation. Each painting was infused with emotion, capturing the essence of what it meant to rise above adversity. As the festival approached, Marcus felt a mix of anticipation and nerves. This would be his chance to reach an even broader audience and share his message of kindness and community support. Clara and Amina encouraged him every step of the way, reminding him that his story had the power to touch lives beyond what he could imagine. On the day of the festival, Marcus arrived early at the venue, a sprawling outdoor space filled with tents showcasing various artists from across the region. The atmosphere buzzed with excitement as families wandered from booth to booth, admiring artwork, listening to live music, and participating in interactive workshops. Marcus set up his booth with care, arranging his paintings thoughtfully, while sharing snippets of his journey with anyone who stopped by. As people began to gather around his display, he felt a surge of confidence wash over him. He shared stories about his past struggles with homelessness and how art had become both a refuge and a means of connection. "Art has a unique ability to bridge gaps between people," he told one visitor who expressed interest in his work. "It can tell stories that words sometimes fail to convey." Throughout the day, Marcus engaged with attendees who resonated with his message. Many shared their own experiences. Some had faced hardships similar to his, while others were simply searching for inspiration in their lives. Each interaction reinforced his belief that vulnerability could foster connection. As evening approached, Marcus took a moment to step back and observe the festival around him. Laughter filled the air as children painted their own masterpieces at a nearby booth, while musicians played cheerful melodies that drew people together in celebration. Suddenly, he spotted Mia across the way, now a confident young artist in her own right, showcasing her artwork alongside other talented youth from their community program. She was animatedly discussing her pieces with festival-goers who admired her creativity. Seeing Mia thrive filled Marcus with immense pride. She embodied everything he hoped for when he first began mentoring her. It was proof that kindness truly begets kindness. a cycle that continued to ripple outward through their community. As night fell and lanterns illuminated the festival grounds with warm light, Marcus prepared for his speech, a moment he had been anticipating since receiving this incredible opportunity. Standing before an audience gathered near the main stage, he took a deep breath as he looked out at their eager faces. "Thank you all for being here today," he began earnestly. "I stand before you not just as an artist, but as someone who has experienced firsthand how powerful community support can be." He shared his journey, the struggles he faced on the streets, how finding that briefcase full of money changed everything for him, and how it led him back into art while inspiring others along their paths toward healing. "I believe we all have stories worth sharing," he continued passionately. "And through our shared experiences, whether through art or simple acts of kindness, we can create change in our communities." The crowd erupted into applause as Marcus concluded his speech. It was clear that his words resonated deeply with those present. He felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude wash over him, gratitude for everyone who had supported him along this journey, and for those whose lives he hoped to touch through his art. Afterward, many approached him to express their appreciation for his message. Some even shared how they were inspired to pursue their own creative passions after hearing him speak. As the festival came to an end, Marcus packed up his artwork feeling fulfilled, not just because of sales or recognition, but because he had connected with people on a deeper level, a reminder that true success lies not merely in accolades, but rather in making meaningful connections through shared stories. In the weeks following the festival, life continued on its upward trajectory for Marcus. He received invitations from other galleries interested in showcasing his work. Offers poured in from organizations wanting him to speak about his experiences at schools and community events. With each opportunity presented before him, a chance not only to share his art but also inspire others, Marcus remained grounded by remembering where it all began. That moment when he chose integrity over temptation by turning in that briefcase full of cash. As winter approached once again, a time often associated with reflection, Marcus decided it was time for another community event at Amina's Cafe, a celebration not just of art, but also gratitude towards everyone who had supported them throughout this journey together. On a chilly evening filled with warmth from flickering candles lining tables set up inside Amina's Cafe, the air buzzed with laughter, as friends gathered together sharing stories about their lives while enjoying delicious pastries made fresh daily by Amina herself. The atmosphere radiated joy. When it came time for Marcus to speak again, this time focusing on gratitude rather than personal achievements, he stood before everyone feeling humbled by how far they had come together as a community united through kindness. "Tonight is about celebrating all of you. Each person here has played an integral role in shaping this beautiful tapestry we call our community," he said sincerely, looking around at familiar faces filled with warmth surrounding him, like family gathered together during holidays, long past forgotten, now revived anew through shared experiences built upon love, kindness shown freely without reservation, given openly without expectation, returned tenfold, always finding its way back home again. Eventually, somehow, someway, whenever needed. Most desperately, just when least expected, too often overlooked yet never forgotten, always cherished forevermore, etched indelibly within hearts forevermore. As applause erupted around him once more, the warmth radiating throughout Amina's Cafe reminded them all that no matter where life took them next, the bonds formed through shared experiences would remain unbreakable, a testament not only celebrating individual journeys, but also honoring collective resilience woven together into something truly extraordinary, reflecting light shining brightly, illuminating paths ahead, waiting patiently just beyond tomorrow's horizon, ready for whatever comes next.